Hello and welcome to this special episode of Diddy on Trial. We've got some breaking news for you. It's here. The federal government have released the new indictment. Now, if you've been with us for a while, you know this is what we've been waiting for. But if you're just joining us, last September, Diddy was charged with a 3-count indictment of sex trafficking, transportation for prostitution, and racketeering with conspiracy. He denies it all. Since then, he's been in the MDC in Brooklyn awaiting trial in May. But now the federal government have released a new indictment, a superseding indictment. Helping us break it down today is the BBC's music correspondent, Mark Savage. Hi, Mark.
Hey there.
Mark, first of all, what exactly is a superseding indictment?
Basically means that the previous charges have been updated and the government have added new details to the case. They've expanded either the charges against someone, which isn't what's happened here, or they have added new detail about the alleged crimes, which is what is happening in this particular case.
So what's new, what's different in this superseding indictment?
There are no new charges against Diddy. Like you said, he's still accused of sex trafficking, of racketeering and transportation for the purposes of prostitution. But what the prosecutors have done is expanded the case with more details. They've added 2 new female victims, and they've also said that the alleged crimes took place over a longer time frame than they'd initially said. It now runs from 2004 to 2024, whereas before it had just been a 16-year time span.
And you mentioned there about adding new victims. That's victim 2 and victim 3 referred to in this indictment. But we already had a victim. We had victim 1. They're still in it?
Yes, that's right. So victim 1 is the case that they built the federal prosecution on.
And they say about these 3 victims, Combs and other members and associates of the Combs enterprise wielded the power of the Combs global enterprise to intimidate, threaten and lure female victims into Combs's orbit, often under the pretense of a romantic relationship. Combs then used force, threats of force and coercion to cause victims, including but not limited to 3 female victims, 1, 2 and 3, to engage in commercial sex acts. In connection with the commercial sex acts, Combs provided the victims with, among other things, monetary payments, career opportunities and payments of rent and housing expenses. Mark, Diddy's team have responded directly to this allegation. What have they said?
Well, they've said that the prosecution's case is flawed, and the statement from Mark Agnifilo, who is the main lawyer on Diddy's case with the government, said the government has added the ridiculous theory that 2 of Mr. Combs' former girlfriends were not girlfriends at all, but were prostitutes. Mr. Combs is as committed as ever to fighting these charges and to winning at trial.
This isn't quite what people were expecting when we were hearing superseding indictment. We were thinking other things were going to happen.
Well, I think one of the main things is when somebody is charged with racketeering, that suggests that there will be a large group of people who are involved in that conspiracy. And at the moment, Sean Combs is the only defendant in this case. We were expecting to see other people in his orbit, assistants, security guards, people like that, who might have been charged. That has not happened as yet, but it is worth saying that the prosecution's case is still being investigated. We know there are still grand jury hearings being held, and they say in this updated indictment that they will potentially file further superseding indictments before the trial, and they've promised the judge they will do that as promptly as possible.
Are they doing that promptly so that they don't disturb the May 5th trial start date?
That's the feeling that I get from the people I've spoken to in the US. And I think it's worth remembering that this is a case that did move incredibly quickly. You know, they only took 6 months between issuing the search warrants for Sean Combs's properties in Florida and in California to filing the indictment. That is fast for a government case, for a federal case against someone. And the reason that prosecutors gave for that is that they thought he was a danger to the community, he was a danger to witnesses, that he might intimidate potential witnesses, and they've said that in court. And that is why things have been moving at the pace they have. That doesn't mean that the investigation stopped once the original indictment was filed. And we know that there have been a lot of things going on in the background while he is in prison awaiting the May start date.
So you've told us about the expansion of the timeline from 2004 to 2024, which is now where the alleged crimes have taken place. You've told us about adding on 2 extra victims. Are there any other details in the superseding indictment that are new?
There are a couple of other little things that have changed that are worth noting. One of which is that the very famous CCTV video of Sean Combs assaulting Cassandra Ventura. They've added a line saying that they believe that Sean Combs, through his associate, paid $100,000 to obtain that footage and keep it out of the public domain. Obviously, that didn't happen, but that is adding weight to their allegations of conspiracy. They have added details of two new drugs that they said he used to keep people obedient and silent. So, as well as cocaine, oxycodone, and ketamine, which were mentioned in the original indictment. They've added methamphetamine and psychedelic mushrooms. And there's another line, a very small detail, but perhaps significant, saying that he did not just assault women, but employees, witnesses, and others. Now, that may give us a clue to some other victims that will be added in a later superseding indictment, although, of course, we won't know until we actually see that.
Mark, thanks so much for sparing the time and joining us. We really appreciate it.
No problem. See you soon.
That's it from this special episode of Diddy on Trial from the BBC World Service YouTube channel. But if you want to get in touch with us or ask us a question, send us a WhatsApp message at +44 330 123 551. That's +44 330 123 551.